Steve, we're on Talking with a Dad, episode 16 tonight.
Zach.
How's everything, buddy? How is life?
Oh, man, look at my eyes, dude.
I know, you're tired. You're tired. I can understand.
I am not tired. I'm ready to go, man.
The part of gaming and talking with a dad is the part that you're a dad, right? That is a top 5 hardest jobs, right? You're responsible for raising a human into being a productive member of society, right? Yep. You're responsible for being there for whenever they need you. And you're responsible for not falling asleep before your podcast. And sometimes, you know what? You can only get 2 out of 3. You know what? You took the right 2.
Real shout out goes to my lovely wife, Santana, who manages
everything.
Who does everything, who is everything, and knows everything. I am merely the muscle, right? I just sit in the
even
back
then, sometimes lacking.
Always lacking as the muscle. What's going on, Zach? What do we got?
Not much, man.
I need a haircut, man.
Yeah, me too. For sure, me too. I think I might go tomorrow.
We look like 2 dudes who just crawled out of the wilderness. Like, we're just building cabins.
I've been building cabins for at least 3 weeks.
If black people can get cabin fever, I'm what they would look like.
Well, so we start off the show at a weird spot. So I've been doing this thing in the beginning of these shows now where I don't ask what games we've been playing, right? Because I've been playing one, which actually I've added a few games to that list recently. This last week, the servers have been down for Tarkov.
Oh, Tarkov.
And you have been on Fallen Order. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be fun. What have you eaten anything really good this week?
Have I eaten anything really good
what is the best meal you've had this week?
I got to say dinner that I had tonight. My wife made some amazing fish and potatoes and what was that? Some another vegetable of some sort. The fish, though, was amazing.
So, oddly enough, my best meal this week is also a fish meal.
Oh,
which was really funny. I had fish and chips this week.
Oh, snap!
I'm a very simple man. I love a good fish and chips. The diner near me where I work does this really good deal. I had tartar sauce with it. I did not have any hot sauce. Listen, I don't like to push my boundaries at restaurants. I don't want them to spit in my food, okay? So I don't ask for too many things. The diner near me does a good lunch meal. You get it from 12 to 3. It's a soup, your meal, and a dessert, and you get it for like $14. And
you were telling about this.
It's a good portion, right?
Yeah.
So I got a lobster bisque, I got a fish and chip, and I got a rice pudding.
Okay.
And it's a good meal, man. And it's the best meal I've ever spent $15 on.
Did you just go British? Did you say you have? So basically, you just had like
straight British all the way through, other than lobster bisque. It was really good. I like fish and chips. I'm a huge fan of fish and chips. I like typical American. I like fried food.
Oh, fried food is amazing.
As you know, and I've said this multiple times, and probably even on the show multiple times, French fries are by far like my favorite food. I love French fries, and this place does French fries right. They do the double fried French fry.
Oh, you know what? You got to do that, man. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had vinegar on your French fries?
Absolutely. That is a Canadian staple. How would I never have had it, Steve? We are Canadian. If anyone still gets that bit. If anyone's here that gets that bit, one day that bit's going to be really funny to like 13 people.
Exactly. When they're doing the great histories of this great world, they're going to be like, you remember that one show?
The rise and fall of Gaming with a Dad.
Cut to the shot of us running out the country. Traitors!
Straight to Uruguay.
The wife and I treated ourselves to outside lunch the other day. She, because of our youngest son, he has the allergies. She doesn't get to enjoy the same rich food that I eat most of the time.
Right.
So there are very few things that she can get, but she did treat herself to some Chipotle, and she always builds herself an amazing bowl. So we were on our way to get Chipotle, and I was like, hey, do you mind if I get myself a hoagie? She's like, absolutely not. Got a hoagie from the place down the road from the house. I got to be honest with you, man.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
That was a good sandwich. It wasn't as good as the one we got before the fights. But for $9.59, that sandwich came in.
Yes. No, I agree. I actually like that place by your house. Right? I like that place by your house. There's actually one farther up in between where you live in the town that you work in. There's one farther up, actually really close to where my dad lives. Right.
Yeah.
That place.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think that place is a little bit better. Still, none of them are as good as Hess's.
Yeah. Listen, I got myself an Italian.
Yeah.
I took out the provolone and had some pepper jack, so it was more of a. I'm trying to say
it's more of like a northwestern Italian.
Yeah, I was trying to say some stuff that like wouldn't get us canceled, and I just got this image of YouTube burning itself down.
We're gonna get canceled eventually. I'm surprised.
And someone dragging me out, but it was amazing, man. The only thing is, I gotta make sure these people know. I don't like mayonnaise on my sandwich. I especially don't like it. I don't like it when it's so much mayonnaise that I take a bite and the top part slides off the rest of the sandwich. That. Oh,
yeah. Okay, so I 100% agree with you on that one. But you know what I do? I like a little. Actually, I like so much oil and vinegar that the vinegar is a little strong. The vinegar's a little. Like it's a little ting. If you have a cut in your mouth, you're definitely gonna know when you have this vinegar. I like vinegar a lot on my sandwiches.
Listen, it's not a real sandwich unless it affects your gingivitis a little bit, and that's what.
Yeah, if you're not bleeding, by the end of it, then I don't think you should be eating it. Let's be fair.
So that's what I had. You had the fish and chips. I had the hoagie. I'm a hoagie guy. I think I've told you this before, right? If you tell me there's a world famous hoagie spot wherever we go, next thing is me making an excuse or running out myself to go get that sandwich.
Right. I told you about the spot. Within 2 weeks, we went there. Mainly because you were away for that amount of time.
Oh man!
I told you about my spot. We went there. I proved to you that it is the premier sandwich location.
Those two old ladies that were working in there were a bit strange. So I was like, "This is a."
Listen, it takes a little bit of a strange person to work there. I know a few people that work there. You know, they're a little bit strange, which is okay, right? You don't want your people to be normal making your sandwich. No. You want them to be a little crazy, right?
No, I want the people making my food to be well.
No, you want them to be normal people. Crazy. Tell me what's the best Taco Bell experience you've ever had? It's definitely not. It's definitely not in Beverly Hills.
Listen. So before we moved to the rich town of Canada, my wife and I lived in another town and lower, and there was a Taco Bell right next to the college that was there. So this place was always cracking.
Yeah, and there are crackheads working in it.
Exactly.
And that is the best Taco Bell you've ever had. You know why? Here's the reason why, right? When you go to Chipotle, you don't want the person who owns that franchise making your sandwich because they're worried about margins, right? Your bowl. You don't want they're worried about margins. You want the guy who's selling crack out of the back door and doesn't care about his job, right? You want the guy who's going to give out extra meat. He's always going to give you the double meat. You want that guy. You want the guy who, like, when you order a regular taco, puts a little sour cream on it, bro.
Sometimes that guy isn't the crack dealer. It's just a disgruntled older person that works there.
Like, it would be me. If I worked at Chipotle, I would be the guy you want to go to. I'm like, I don't fucking care about this fucking place. They're like, sir, are you going to charge me for that quadruple meat? What the fuck? No, it's a single meat, you dummy. Clang. Next person.
You give out too much carne asada. They're like, Zach, we noticed on the cameras
that you used an entire bowl of carne asada, dude. And it's like, just get the fuck out of my way. I got work to do.
Like, you got some good topics.
I have some good topics today. I like to do this little monologue before we get in there. But to get you a little flavor, a little personality on the show, a little bit of seasoning on the grilling, Yeah,
man. Yeah,
we're the seasoning to that cast iron skillet that is going to be the rest of the show here.
Now, I don't smoke any weed, Zach, but I'm looking at my eyes, and if someone accused me of it right now, I would say I couldn't deny it. But I don't smoke weed. I just got bloodshot eyes whenever I wake up, man.
So not this is false. Look. I've seen multiple times. Anyway, I listened to a podcast this week, actually pertaining to your last topic. I know. I'm pertaining to your last topic here.
I don't smoke weed. For anyone that's
I listened to Josh Thompson on Joe Rogan this week, right? And this inspired me. I put this topic in here very early in the week. It was like Wednesday, right? Which is early in the week for us.
Come on, spit it out, man. What are you talking
about? Fighters have it together in retirement? There's not many. There is not many.
I can give you this George St. Pierre.
Well, hold on.
Michael Bisping.
Hold on. What is George St. Pierre doing? I'll give you Bisping. What is GSP doing? He's just training. That's
he
it.
just trains and talks about coming back to fighting.
That's it. He does not have it together in retirement because he can't let it go.
Wait, let's be mature about it.
Who was moved on?
Let's establish the standard of what together means.
Okay. So having it together in retirement, this is what I see it as, has moved on. They're willing to admit that they have moved on and are providing for themselves in a way that is not fighting anymore.
Okay.
How GSP doesn't have that. GSP is still 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? And in the UFC, you don't want to be in that place. Although GSP can be there. Bisping is good.
Forrest Griffin.
Yes. Forrest Griffin's a good one. He's at the PI.
Yep.
Right. Bisping is a good one. He's doing all his analysts. He's doing a movie, right? He's in and out of things, right? Josh Thompson was going. That guy was a really interesting 3-hour podcast listen with Rogan this week.
Oh, yeah.
It was really good.
He's not actually retired, though. He still has an active contract with Bellator.
He says he's retired, though. He says he's no longer taking fights, right?
He says, he's not. Okay.
But this is what has sparked it, right? He said he's like, hey, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I don't want to do this anymore. He goes, because I need to move on to that other life that's going to take over that portion that had. He's like, for the first year or so that I was out, he's like, I didn't train. And then one day I called my coach and we made time and I hit mitts, but just because I needed exercise. He's like, I didn't want to go back in and fight again, right? He's owns gyms. He does analyst work. He does all this other stuff that he's like, I'm providing not quite as much, but I'm in 6 figures providing for my family outside of fighting. And this topic on Rogan inspired the topic on here.
Yeah. So let me see. So we got Brandon Schaub.
Schaub is the best example, I think.
Forrest Griffin.
Yep.
Forrest Griffin.
Bisping.
We've got Michael Bisping, who I think is doing better than Schaub. Actually, like in retirement. I'm trying to think.
I don't know. I know Schaub.
Ronda Rousey.
No, I almost don't give you that one because she went to a different version of fighting.
Sir, I'm sorry. Wrestling is not fighting. It's
entertainment.
It's paid acting.
Sure. Okay. You know what? You take Ronda, and she has no gripes with saying that she doesn't want to take any more fights.
Gina Carano.
Who?
Gina Carano.
Isn't she willing to take a fight with someone?
No,
I heard that recently.
I don't know what she said recently, but she had the opportunity to come back and fight Ronda when Ronda was still reigning champ. A fight that I think she actually could have won in hindsight. Now that I think about it,
100%.
But she turned that one down. But you're right. I would agree with your assessment. And Josh Thompson, who I am a fan of, by the way. Quick fun fact: he was beat by Clay Guida when he was a world beater at one point.
Yep.
Lost that fight to Clay Guida in the lower organization.
Okay. But Gina Carano hasn't fought since 2009. She's officially out. Does movies. Yeah. She was in The
Mandalorian.
Deadpool. I don't give a fuck about The Mandalorian. She was Deadpool. Great. She was actually a major role in Deadpool.
Oh, yeah. She had a major non-speaking role in Deadpool, like a couple of lines.
That's fine. She's just pretty looking. Yeah.
Did you know that she was, in fact, engaged to the man who played Superman, Henry Cavill, and then his career shot up, and he was like, bye! Like, he's too big for her. Has not returned home since he went and got his cigarettes that one night. But I'll give it to you. I'm trying to think of any because it's the same thing in boxing. You have a few guys who do really
very few, but they're always there willing to take fights, right? You can't be halfway in, halfway out in fighting. You just cannot do it.
No, you can't. Interesting thing, man. This is a bit heartbreaking. I forgot the guy's name, but just watching TMZ. Former NBA player got beat up because he's homeless now.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah. And that's akin to what you see a lot in sports. So it's just like a lot of people, poor money management. You have a few guys who've tried to spearhead a few things in boxing.
West.
That's his name. It's always a hard name to remember. Poor guy.
Yeah,
he looks crazy.
I just looked it up.
Also, another fun fact. I believe it's Bernard Hopkins. If it is who I think it is, has something he does with Golden Gloves where he meets with younger. He's kind of like the boxing version of Forrest Griffin. He meets with younger fighters, talks to them about things like putting away money, 401ks, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it's Bernard Hopkins.
He actually got forced into retirement when he got knocked out of the ring in his last fight.
Yes, he did.
And had to reassess some things. And then it's no different with MMA, man. Look at Chuck Liddell is doing better.
Chael Sonnen.
Oh, Chael's killing it, but had some personal tragedy. Actually, him and Luke Thomas got into a huge beef. Remember that whole thing when Luke Thomas said, "What is Chael Sonnen's real legacy in regards to MMA?" And Hey, so you got to agree with the facts, but I can't think of any other ones, man. I'm trying. As I was making that going on,
there's there's the other direction though. There are fighters who are out of fighting that are in really bad spots now.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Rashad Evans is doing pretty good.
Is he? What does Rashad Evans do?
Rashad Evans is an analyst for the UFC. He does post-fight commentary.
I don't listen to the post-fight garbage. I nap between fights.
You're like, Rashad Evans.
Who is that?
BJ Penn is not doing good.
BJ Penn is on the other side of that. Chuck Liddell's on the other side of that.
Chuck Liddell's starting to come out of the madness.
No, he's not.
Bit.
No, he's not. No.
Chuck Liddell's doing good, man. He's training naked in hotels with his wife. Did you hear about that?
Him. I don't want to know. Matt Hughes is not doing well.
Well, he got hit by a train.
So,
and he also got accused. I know this is after the train hit, but got a restraining order placed on him by his wife
and like family members. Let's be fair. I think I saw this somewhere, but he grew up in this town that he got hit by this train in, right?
Yeah.
He had driven to those tracks a few times. The man has severe CTE. There was rumors that this was actually a potential suicide. I hope it's not. I hope it wasn't, right? We would never know until someone, Matt Hughes admits it. But, I would hope that's not it. I hope this car literally broke down right in front of a train. I would rather see that than him actually trying to, do the tragedy.
Yeah.
So
hey, just a quick little thing. As of 2019, Chuck Liddell's net worth is $14 million.
14? It's all that money the UFC paid him to not fight.
Whoa. Tito Ortiz is not retired, but he should be. And,
absolutely. Fedor should be. Rampage Jackson should be. Every heavyweight in Bellator, other than Ryan Bader, should be retired. Jack Congo should be retired.
You know who I feel especially bad for when we talk about the should have retired? If we did talk about this, I'm sorry if I'm bringing it up again. Holly Holmes has nothing left.
Dude, I thought her last fight was her final fight.
I was hoping it was.
Me too. I like Holly, man. There's no one in the sport who doesn't like Holly, other than her ex-husband.
That guy.
Right. There is a lot.
Hold on. You know how when you break up with someone, you lose your friends if the other one was more liked by your friends, and how painful that could be. The world broke up with Holly Holmes' ex-husband.
Yes.
Like everyone unanimously said.
He instantly. So like they were hanging on a cliff next to each other, and he fell. And he's just falling into a deep, dark abyss, a despair of a pit that falls forever, and there is no coming back. No one cares about Jeff.
I literally see some 4-year-old walking over to that cliff. He's like, "Help me!" And they're like,
a child, a baby, walked over and just went, bink, and he fell. No one cares about poor Jeff.
You know he's that ex-boyfriend. He's like, she took a picture half naked with John Jones, Yoel Romero, for God's sake. I'm not the bad guy. And America's like, no, it's okay.
We still hate you. We still hate you. Misha Tate is doing good in retirement.
She is doing very good.
She's doing that ambassador thing for ONE FC. So there's a few. There's a few. There's a few coming up too. Right? DC's going to do really well out of retirement.
Yeah, he's going to do great.
Right.
He's got 7 barbershops.
Wait, does he really?
Yeah, he owns a bunch of barbershops.
I didn't know that. I know he's coaching high school wrestling in California. Yeah. Right.
No, he owns some barbershops in California. I've seen some pictures of him in his barbershop.
Hey, good for him. When Uriah Faber decides that he needs to retire, he's doing fine. He probably makes more money outside of fighting anyway. Right.
Yes, it's a very lucrative contracting company in Sacramento. Yes.
Right. There is a few coming up. Alistair Overeem, surprisingly enough, will probably do fine in retirement.
Apparently, Alistair Overeem is always the smartest guy in the room, and I know that's hard to picture.
I've heard that. Hold on a second. So no, but at this point he almost has to be. He's been knocked out 39 times. That might be not an exaggeration. That might be an understatement of how many times between Pride, K1, did he fight in Strikeforce, the UFC, right, all the way up from the bottom to the top, right? He has been knocked out
by Chuck Liddell
a shitload of times. My guy has been knocked out a shitload of times. Doesn't slur, is articulate.
Yeah,
he seems like he has his wits about him more so than anyone I've ever seen. Right? What kind of intelligent was he when he was 22 years old and had never been knocked out? Right?
So apparently every time he gets knocked out, he gets a little smarter. Like, gets a little bit closer to the nexus of
he's actually a time traveler. He keeps going back and reversing those, and we just don't know. Actually, if you look at his record, he's 99-0.
So here's my assessment of the situation in regards to fighters and what it takes. Obviously, there's a bunch of personal accountability that needs to happen. People who haven't had money before, having money for the first time. You need someone there. You need someone there to help you, guide you into investments if you're not just a naturally born business person, right? 2, we got to get these guys to a place when enough is enough. Know when to step away from the banquet table.
There's also a thing in fighting, especially in the UFC, they also have to be financially stable enough to where they can call it, right? Yeah. There are only a few guys who are that, right? Yeah. You have your Connors, you have your Khabibs, you have your DCs, right? Yeah. And your John Jones. Who else is financially stable enough that they don't have to take fights anymore or don't have to find, like, it's okay to get a hobby, right? DC might go and do woodworking with the rest of his time because that's something is probably very challenging for someone that is DC, right? But what does I don't even know. I don't even know who to pick. What does Tony Ferguson do next? Right? Tony Ferguson's probably not set for life. Right?
I'm not even sure they're paying that guy, to be honest with you.
Right. So I also listened to another podcast this week. Rogan had a lot of good guests on this week. He had Thompson, he had Usman on, and he had Eddie Alvarez on too, or Frankie Edgar, one or the other. I get those two mixed up all the time.
Edgar.
For Edgar, thank you. He had those 3 on. I didn't get to listen to the Edgar one, but Usman said that he wants to make enough money that his grandchildren don't have to work. Right.
Yeah, generational wealth.
Generational wealth, right? He wants to make that. No one in the UFC right now is making that money other than Conor.
Conor and Khabib, apparently.
Khabib maybe, but even with the fight that they had, Conor got paid 3 or 4 times more than Khabib did.
Yeah.
Right. Not saying that Khabib didn't get paid handsomely, right? $2 or $4 million or whatever it was, right? That's a good year. I think it's a good year.
Yeah, but Conor stepped with just the Mayweather fight alone. So Conor's
stepped into the next echelon of being wealthy.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that he did something that's really smart. Like I've never had the whiskey before, but
it's not good.
It's not good. Have you had it?
Yeah, what we had was levels better.
We don't talk about that night.
You know what? Hold on. Is this I want to. So I like our intro a lot. Right, the one that we have made, especially with the coin over top of it. I love our intro, right? There would be a special place in my heart forever for that intro. I want to edit it a little bit. So right before the video comes on, like, because how many times did we open that whiskey bottle and it went pop, and it popped open perfectly? I want to like pop open and then the rest of the audio comes on. I might actually do that.
You know what? When fame and fortune finally comes our way, that horrible bit of footage is going to be unearthed.
I think I deleted it.
Did you?
I think I deleted
it. So you think is what you say, but then when TMZ gets their hands on it, like, look at these 2 morons.
I think I watched it back and I was like, this is so incoherent that I don't even want to.
Yeah, take the chance.
I don't even want to look at. I don't look at this anymore. I was throwing up looking at it of how incoherent that it was.
It's crazy because when I woke up the next morning, you were already downstairs on your computer. Like,
doing
good morning, Steve. I was like, man, this guy's Superman. I was fighting demons for most of the night.
I was fucked up, bro. I was still drunk, 100%.
But Conor stepped into that next level, like good business and, as usual, very good branding on his part. He's got a whole team in spite of himself, helping to grow his branding, which is a huge step for people when they become megastars. Your name has to be worth something, and his name is worth something to the point where look at how much he got paid fighting Cowboy Cerrone without a belt in the pay-per-view buys. So the next thing I think
bought the August McGregor joggers. You know, he has his own like clothing, like high-end clothing brand. Right?
I heard.
I almost bought them. They look kind of sweet.
Save that money and donate it to Paige Van Zandt, man. Come on. What type of monster are you?
So I was thinking about tweeting this, and I don't know if I wanted to get banned by Paige Van Zandt, but the world is a better place when Paige Van Zandt gets hurt because she turns into a thirst trap. When she gets hurt, she immediately turns into a thirst trap, and the world's just a happier place.
Why? What happened?
I'll show you videos off air.
Okay. Now, I want you to remember this is a married woman you're talking about, so have some respect, all right?
That guy's a legit killer, by the way.
What do you mean, like actually murdered people? Or
no, he's like a really good fighter.
Angela Hill. No, he'll beat me to death.
He would. Both at the same time.
He's like, I'll take you both.
But if there was three of us, we might have a chance.
Chris Cyborg is champion. I don't know if we talked about it.
Yeah, she Julia Budd.
What's her net worth? What do you think her is? The world.
Chris Cyborg?
Yeah, what's
$37?
$37.
I bet you she got paid nothing to be in the UFC.
She stole that name from her ex-husband. That poor bastard.
Yeah.
That poor bastard's got nothing. She's got $5 million in the bank.
Well, okay, that's fair. Good for her. She's the second best women's fighter of all time, right under Amanda Nunes.
Yeah,
and it's not because she lost to her. It's because she left the organization and didn't do a rematch. I
guess she got paid to go to Bellator.
Paid, bro. But is she making more than Kayla Harrison?
You know what? I don't think so. But
right.
Here's the thing about Chris Cyborg, right? So steroids affect your face, right? The way you look, whether you're male or female. But it's
correct.
But it's just more noticeable in the female because
correct.
I believe either she's had some work done, or her face is starting to soften again. She's still very.
I don't want to go deep down this deep dark rabbit hole.
I'm not going to talk bad about her, but it is. Someone else had commented on it that her features are starting to soften again.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll look into it. I actually enjoy her fighting. I think she's a very good fighter. I wanted to see her rebound from that loss against Nunes. I wanted to see the rematch of that fight.
Right? I did too. I actually had her winning the next fight.
I did too. I had her going in there more calculated, more calm, sitting back on her punches and counter-striking Nunes, or taking her to the ground because Cyborg is legit black belt on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like I had her winning that next fight, and that was more important to me than her getting paid. But then they released that video after it, putting word in Dana's mouth, and Dana was just like, you know what? We're done. I can't deal with this. I cannot deal with this. Right?
He's like, I've killed people for less. I might kill again tonight, but I'm not putting up with this. 100%. It was her whole team, and that's another thing when we talk about what the post UFC or MMA career or boxing career of these athletes looks like is you do reap what you sow. And at a certain point, you burn enough promoters, you're going to not get booked for anything. That also impacts the way people are going to view you in your post career. And let's also talk about some of these people don't have marketable skills, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to be able to get on. Look at poor Michelle Watterson. They let her talk on the mic for a few sessions in UFC, and she's not been back since the Kobe Covington interview. And it's just like some people just don't have the skills to be marketed afterwards.
The issue with Michelle is that she's probably too nice to be a fighter, right? That's what it seems like. Her personality seems to be she's too nice of a person to be the personality in fighting that makes superstars, right?
Yeah.
She's fun to watch. She's fun to keep up with. She's fun to follow. But she doesn't have that edge about her that a superstar fighter has, right? I've really taken a liking to Kamaru Usman recently because
he's very intelligent.
Right, and he's come out and talked about the struggles that he goes through in camp and all of this stuff, but he has this edge about him, and he has this I don't know, I say way of speaking, but he has this aura about him that is like, okay, this guy is like legit, right? And all of the issues he's had with his injuries, and he still fights through it. I think I'll like it at Carl Usman recently, but because he has that edge that you need to be a superstar fighter.
Yeah, he's articulate, which you got to give a person credit in the fight game for being that. He's also able to articulate his craft, which is huge, and he's marketable. Dana, I think, is starting to come around to see that, and other people are starting to notice it as well. Like,
yeah, he's been on Rogan twice recently.
He is he makes for a great interview. The problem that the UFC has had fundamentally also with some of its champions, non-speaking, English-speaking champions,
it's hard to market.
Hard to market in the American market. They do well outside of America.
Yeah, Khabib is the biggest star globally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that Khabib is probably the biggest star globally, while Conor is like obviously Ireland. Actually, he's probably not even Ireland anymore. I think the Irish people do not like him, but US, he's by far the biggest star. I had a conversation with a guy at work the other day who was like, yo, did you, because I've talked about fighting at work, right? And I go, some of the guys are like, oh, I used to watch like back in the day, but there's too much of it now, and I kind of get overloaded. I don't want to watch all of it. I'm like, this is fucking amazing to me. And so like it's a conversation we've had. And he's like, hey, did you catch that Conor fight? I'm like, yeah, you know, it was good. It was good. Like, you know, we saw a little bit of Conor and what makes Conor great, but you know, it wasn't, you know, what I wanted to see out of Conor. I wanted to see a fight, right? I didn't want to see a walk. And he's like, oh well, how does he beat? Do you think he beats Khabib now? And I'm like, well, probably not. I think stylistically, Khabib was a nightmare for Conor and for people like Conor. He's like, nah, man, he knocks Khabib out in like the first round. I'm like, no, he doesn't. Like, Khabib probably has a better chin than anyone knows because no one's ever tested it, right?
Right.
And he's like, well, I just think you're wrong, man. That's all right. It's okay. You could be wrong. And I'm like, did you just use my own line against me? And I'm like, I was like, all right, cool. I had to walk away. I had to walk away. It turned out it was like a 10-minute conversation, and I could have like broke it down for him, but I was like, I can't. It was like, this is a Conor fan, not a fight fan.
No,
right? There is a difference, and Conor has that where most other fighters don't.
No, that's a good point. You know who else had a lot of that is Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. You have a lot of John Jones fans who aren't actually MMA fans. They don't enjoy the sport.
Do you think John is a big name?
I think John is a big name, but for the wrong reasons. For the wrong reasons. There was a time where I think John might have been the first UFC fighter to be on the cover or in GQ. So that's where his career was headed at one point. He was the second person signed up for an official sponsorship deal with Reebok, had a sponsorship deal with Nike. Only other person to have that was Anderson Silva, was in an actual Nike commercial. And I'm not talking about one of those janky sponsorships.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like his career, the career trajectory was on that path for a long time. And then, I don't know, he kind of like started getting away from it. Like they were pushing him hard as kind of this and he screwed that all up. But I think that it's all about that marketability. And then if we're just talking about post their career, what happened to Josh Thompson shouldn't have happened, right? At some point, someone negotiates a better contract for you. Like you have to have someone willing to go in there and sit down with Dana and Lorenzo and go, hey, this guy may not be a world beater, but he steps in for your fights. And Lorenzo has been known in the past to work with people like that. He's like, let's get him a better shake. Even Dana's actually very sentimental when it comes to fighters. I've
heard a lot about Dana's backroom checks that he cuts too.
Yeah.
That apparently are still a thing where it's like, you went out there, I can't quite give you a performance bonus, but here, I want to pay a little extra and make sure that you know that you're taken care of. But still, I had to explain this to someone the other day that general sports, NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, and what is the soccer one? MSN? No, MNO?
It's not a real thing.
MLS. Sorry. They pay on average their athletes like 50 or 60% of their revenue, right? Where the UFC only does like 18 or 20%. Yep. So even by that margin, right? Because you have to, if you want to be legitimized, right? And you're on ESPN, right? You have to compare yourself to the NFL, right? you have to compare yourself to the NBA, which they're the highest. I think they're the highest margin. They get paid way more than almost anyone else. They have to be in line with that. You can't be 20% where everyone else is 50, right? Listen, I'll give you 40, but then you're doubling everyone's salary, and that helps some of these people. First of all, legitimize their careers. There was a guy 155 or 170 who up until his last training camp was waiting tables, and he's a top 10 guy, right? Like, you can't have your top 10, your top 50, even your top 20 out there needing a job because they don't make enough money because you're not paying, or they didn't have someone negotiate the contract.
Just listen to me for a second. The UFC wasn't the first to do it. But at one point, the company decided to put a branding tax on any sponsorships that came in. Like, if you were going to sponsor a fighter, this is before Reebok, you had to actually pay a tax. The NBA actually did that, and then I will get into that off air.
The NBA regulated everything that can and cannot be.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, you're right. You do have a lot of fighters struggling. Getting paid $25,000 a show. 30,000 to win,
or less, bro.
Less.
If you're a fresh contract in the UFC, you might be making 3 and 3 or 4.
I was like, what do the Ultimate Fighter winners get for their contract? They get like $100,000 contract,
but they get I think they get a signing bonus. By the way, I don't think they get $100,000 contract. Like,
that's what I've been trying to figure that out though.
I think they get. They win 100,000, but I bet you it's a 10 and 10 or a 15 and 15 for the people uninitiated at home, right? Because I know that some of our fans aren't fight fans. A 10 and 10 is a $10,000 to show, $10,000 to win contract, right? So the way that fighting works is you're gonna get a purse to show up as soon as you walk in the building for your fight. You've made weight. You were cut a check of $10,000, right? If you win your fight, you are guaranteed another $10,000. If you lose, you only make $10,000 for your fight. That's gone instantly, right? You have to pay your bills. You have to pay your training. You have to pay everything, right? All of that money is gone. If you win, you make double that, let's say, 20 grand. And you might fight, if you're active, if you're a cowboy, you're fighting 4 times a year, right? And you have one of those contracts, you're making 80 grand a year. And you're putting your body through hell. Almost not worth it at that point, right? No, some of your higher guys, like Conor, you make guaranteed money plus pay-per-view points. There's 2 different pay structures in it. You get to the win and the show and win, or the guaranteed and pay-per-view points.
Ronda had that same point.
Sure. Champions have it. And superstars have it. Conor's probably the only one in the UFC right now. Brock, if he comes back, will have it.
Ronda got 1.5, I believe. One of her fights. The last fight to show. Bottom line, I don't even think
guaranteed money. She probably doesn't have a win. I would say if you make a 1.5, you don't have a win.
Yeah.
But some of the guys lower down the totem pole are making 5 and 5. If you're not winning, you're making $5,000. How do you pay your bills for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months?
So the smart thing to do is to do what Chris Weidman did. Chris Weidman won the belt, immediately invested in his future by buying a part of the gym, co-ownership of a gym with Ray Longo.
Okay.
Guy's a staple in his community.
A gym is a really hard business to run, but we're not going to get...
It's a really hard business to run unless you corner the market in Long Island.
Good point. Right? You know what, you got me there. If you have the one gym in all of Long Island, which is not a small place, then you got me.
Look at Matt Serra. You know what I'm saying? Matt Serra beat GSP, lost the fight. The next fight got dominated.
Yeah, that was a fluke.
And but man's doing great for himself, living a modestly good life, also doing some commentary work, has one of the greatest podcasts, but doing well because he parlayed that one win. He has
the podcast with Jim Norton, right?
Yep.
Good for him.
Good show. Good show. But we've exhausted the people. Here's the bottom line, right? Invest your money. Get someone that's going to invest it for you correctly.
Yeah.
Double check the accountant's findings. Don't just trust this guy.
Trust your
accountant. The money when. No, look. Trust your accountant, but count the money with your accountant. Don't just go off to Barbados.
Trust your accountant.
Listen, don't. Don't trust your accountant that way.
Trust
Moving
your-
right
trust your
along.
account. So hold on, we have a few more fight topics.
Don't trust your accountant.
Diego Sanchez just accepted a 3-month suspension from USADA for testing positive for Ostarine.
Who?
Diego Sanchez? That's your boy, dude. You love Diego Sanchez.
El Diablo, what Diego Sanchez, ESPN commentator Diego Sanchez?
Yes, Diego Sanchez. The only
Diego Sanchez that says he was wrongfully accused of popping hot before his career.
Tested positive for Ostarine
again
on December 12th.
Second time this is happening.
Correct. And
man hadn't fought in 2 years prior to this fight.
Accepted a 3-month suspension. Thank you, MMA Junkie. Shout out.
Okay.
There's that. Your boy Joe Rogan almost got canceled. I didn't even know this. Is this over the Stephen A. Smith thing?
No, this is over the Bernie Sanders thing.
What happened with Bernie?
Dude, listen.
Just run me through it quick. You have the next 45 seconds.
All Joe literally said in the soundbite was that he would more than likely be voting for Bernie. He was like, he's the one guy that I genuinely think believes the things that he says because he was out there doing it at one point. That's
all
a
right,
paraphrase.
All right. Joe Rogan almost got canceled because of Bernie. We're done with that. We're moving on.
We're not done yet. I'm still talking here.
I have another fight topic.
Wait, that is an actual. That's one of our talks right there. But I want to let you know that people are coming out to defend Joe Rogan. He's that beloved.
I'm a fan of Joe Rogan.
Listen, people love him, man. They're coming out in that.
I wouldn't say I love him.
I didn't say you. I said people love him. You're not.
I know, but I'm saying of me. I only think of me.
Joe Rogan, you are loved, and we will not let the cancel culture get you.
But hey, if you want to be on the show,
unless they come for us, then we'll turn on you in a hot second.
have young Jamie call me. We'll get you on the show. We'll get you on the show, young Jamie.
What
Dana White says that Masvidal versus Usman is happening during International Fight Week.
I told you there was not going to be Conor versus Masvidal.
That's a bad fight for Conor. You know what? You know why? Conor is cutting weight to be the replacement for this Khabib Tony Ferguson fight.
Oh, he's 100% on standby.
And steroids. I got that. What do you think of the Usman Masvidal fight? I heard Usman talk about this, and he says this is literally just a fight so that Usman can derail the Masvidal train.
Okay, so that's exactly what I was thinking. I think the Masvidal train comes to an abrupt halt, but I've been wrong about Masvidal before. I thought it was going to come to an halt with Ben Askren, right?
I didn't.
Masvidal could definitely show up, and you 100% thought he was going to win that fight. I just got this image of you in my head at the back of the school, like, my buddy Ben Askren's going to beat.
I would never say my boy Ben Askren. I've never said that in my entire life.
Listen, so here's how it's going to go, right? Standing up, Masvidal has a clear advantage in the striking, and I'm talking about clear.
So hold on.
I'm not done filibustering yet.
Are we talking power striking or just combinations?
Combinations and power.
Do you think he has more power than Usman?
100%. He would bust Usman up. He would bust him up if Usman makes a mistake.
Is he dropping Usman?
Listen to me. If Usman makes a mistake of being a stationary target in front of Masvidal, he gets pieced up, and that's the fight. That's it.
Okay.
If he does not go to his wrestling when he gets pushed, fight's over.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But combine those things together, the chain takedowns and the boxing of Usman, he beats Masvidal, right? I think he's able to stay out of enough submission. I think he can stay out of the submission danger really quickly. I think his grappling is that good where he can pin you to the ground and you can't even throw your guard up to do anything. But if he makes that mistake of letting any ego and I don't think Usman would do this, he's going to come in and do what he needs to do to win. And I think he's going to do it impressively. He's going to want to beat him to death. He's not going to want to lay and pray on him.
And I think he does it.
I think he gets it done. And I like Jorge Masvidal. I like watching his YouTube clips.
I like watching his fights. I like Masvidal on my TV. I don't think you beat Darren Till, you beat Ben Askren who didn't belong there, and you beat Nate Diaz who didn't belong there, and you get a title shot in one of the most talented divisions.
I'm trying to think. Well, he beat Leon Edwards. Not Leon Edwards. What's that guy's name that he pieced up in London for the fight?
That was Leon Edwards, but they never fought.
Oh yeah, but he won that fight.
He beat Darren Till. That was a fight.
He won 2 times that night. He beat Darren Till,
but he gave him a 3-piece and a soda and then had the dip. Like, I get that. Like, it's still amazing how they got him out of England without him getting like murdered. But before that, he lost to Wonder Boy. He lost to Damian Maia.
Yep.
Right. He lost to Lorenz Larkin. He lost to Benson Henderson. He lost to Ally.
I watched all those fights,
killing himself to get the 55.
Actually won that fight against Ally Quinta. It was a split.
It was a split decision, and Ally clearly won on the scorecard. So I'm going with my boy Ally.
Did you watch the fight?
No.
All right, go back and watch the fight. That was the infamous night where Ally screamed at the crowd, "I know you guys ain't cursing at me."
Used guys, but like, okay, he beat Cowboy. Cool. Cowboy's in and out of 170. Didn't fight for he did. He didn't fight for all of 2018. And then he beats Darren Till, who left to go to 85 because he couldn't make 70 anymore.
Starched him.
He beat Ben Askren, who didn't belong in the UFC. Maybe 10 years earlier, we would have seen Ben Askren as a champion for sure. And he beat
heard around the world.
Yeah. I mean, I heard it. And he beat Nate Diaz, who hadn't fought in 3 years.
Who also doesn't know what the word ironic means.
Yeah, he doesn't. Listen, it's okay. It's okay. But he didn't beat anyone of significance, right?
Well, if you just look at that list you just went down, it was the way he beat these people and his meteoric rise. It wasn't just like a little bit of a beating. And each one of those
he beat the shit out of these people.
Right. He murderized them.
He didn't beat a Colby. He didn't beat a Leon Edwards. He didn't beat a Woodley. He didn't beat even a Wonder Boy. Right? Like I'm not mad at the fight. I'm gonna watch the fight. I'm
not mad at the fight either, but I'm telling you right now. Just remember that I said it here, folks.
Don't tell me.
If Usman, if he even for a second says, "Hey, you know what? I got this. We're standing." Fight's over. Like, he's gonna get hit with angles that every striking coach that's ever watched Masvidal fight says the same thing. This kid has the best boxing.
He's good. Masvidal is good, man. Masvidal's good. I would never sleep on Masvidal.
You just brought up a name that was interesting. So ever since Tyron Woodley, lost the belt, always a good thing when a champion loses the belt. This is the only good thing when they lose the belt, is the division gets shaken up and then you get some more appealing fights again.
Yeah.
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson looked great in his last fight. Broke both his hands doing it, but he looked great.
He really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure both of his hands were broken. Look that up, but he had some hand injuries afterwards. But what do you think about Wonderboy Thompson versus Usman? Or do you think Wonder Boy should go up to 180 to go up to 185?
I don't know. I think that he might need. Yeah, he broke one of his hands. He's interested in fighting Maia, which is a shitty fight. No
one wants to see that.
Don't fight Maia. Maia is a nightmare. At 107 years old. I don't think that Wonder Boy fights Usman. I would need to see Wonder Boy fight someone else at 70 in the top 5.
Okay.
I don't know who it is.
Yeah. Stylebender? Would you watch Actually, you know what? I got Wonder Boy's first fight in 185.
Is he talking about going? Jesus. Is he talking about going up?
At this point, I don't think there's any other choice but him going up, because I honestly don't see a lot of friendly fights.
He's number 6.
There's not a lot of friendly fights for him at 170.
I got it.
Who?
Fight Chiesa.
Who?
Michael Chiesa.
Who?
He just had a good performance.
Oh, that guy that used to have a mullet?
Did he have a mullet?
Yeah. Actually, that would be a great fight. I would actually prefer I can't pronounce his name, versus Kobe. I would watch. He called out Kobe
Chiesa,
after
he
that
did,
fight.
yeah. That, actually, I heard that's on the card because Edward is fighting. Leon Edwards is fighting Tyron Woodley. Colby versus Chiesa. Masvidal versus Usman. That doesn't leave anyone for Wonder Boy.
Yeah, it doesn't leave anyone for Wonder Boy except if he goes
Nate
up
Diaz,
to 180.
I agree.
Nobody
Nate
wants
Diaz
to see
is the
that
next
would be
Conor
the
fight.
longest beating Nate Diaz has ever taken by anyone's feet ever.
But at 185, who are you going to put him against? Cannonier?
Uriah Hall.
But Uriah Hall is ranked 10 at 85.
That's why it's the perfect fight for him. Two karate guys in there mixing
You might
it
as
up.
well just put him against Anderson Silva.
Anderson Silva's not alive anymore.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm sorry. Rest in peace, Anderson Silva.
Also doing very good in retirement.
He's not retired, though. He
not
just got beat up by Adesanya last year.
God, I was like watching someone beat their grandfather up.
It literally was. So, where do we go from here? We don't know. We'll find out. Hopefully the Usman Masvidal fight gets announced and goes quickly. Are we going to do 7 shows leading up to the Ferguson Khabib fight?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. I'm in. Let's get away from fighting. We're
also gonna have you and Cash on at the same time, so you guys can just have one of those complete meltdowns and polar opinions.
No,
I'm just trying to get a word in edgewise. It's like, okay, guys,
you gotta remember
elbows.
No, I think we've talked about this a lot actually. In playing Tarkov together, we've talked about this a lot. We're both. I'm convinced that Khabib dominates Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, I feel like a crazy person, that's been trying to reconvince people of this.
Let's get away from fighting, Steve.
All right, what are we talking about?
Big news this week.
What is the big news?
You finished Fallen Order.
Game was amazing.
How does it feel? When was the last time you beat a game?
Oh man, the last game I finished was
The Division.
Yes,
I know. That's why I bring this up. Did this game pull you in as much as The Division did?
It did. It absolutely did. And I got to tell you honestly, it was only 20 hours of gameplay altogether.
That's not that much.
It's not that much. I got to tell you though,
for $60,
the last 2 hours of the game, the last 2 hours of gameplay, I was just like jaw drop. Story was amazing. Story was absolutely amazing. And you know what they did really well in this game?
No,
so you're playing basically as a Padawan that didn't complete his Jedi training. And it really shows when you're fighting some of the enemies. Because you're like,
well, a real Jedi wouldn't have gotten fucked up by this.
Yeah, he would have killed all. Yeah, exactly. The frog's dead. The 12 stormtroopers are dead.
Wait, are they stormtroopers or clone troopers? Because I found out recently there was a difference.
There's a difference. There's stormtroopers. Stormtroopers came into play after the clone army was nearly ultimately depleted during the Clone Wars.
Clones were copies of Boba Fett. Stormtroopers are people in costumes that have really shitty helmets.
They have real shitty helmets, and they are also constricted. You know the word I'm trying
constricted.
To use. Yes. They are basically drafted into the Empire's army at a young age.
Oh, conscripted.
Yes, that's
not constricted. Conscripted.
No. I wasn't going to correct you because I was going to be like, this is going to turn on me quick, and then I'm going to have to play the audio back. I'm like, you definitely didn't say the right word.
Okay. Well, you were saying constricted, and then I figure we're talking about the suits.
Let's stay on point right now.
All right.
So, last 2 hours of the game, absolutely amazing. Like, Pete had told me that it was amazing, and I was like, no. And I had seen some of the reveals and some of the gamer reactions to the ending of the game, and I had to, even though I knew what I was in for, I had the same exact reaction because I was just like, man,
good.
It cannot pay to be Kathleen Kennedy, who heads up the entire Star Wars division, when a game has a better ending
than the movies.
Than the movies. Yes.
So does the game tie into the storyline? Is it canon?
Yes. It's treading on some. It is not officially canon, is what I would say, but it touches on every point in the perfect in between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope, right? So this is more stuff that happened to fill in the gap there. So I guess it draws from canon material. So I'm going to call it canon, but George Lucas
adjacent.
Yes, it would be perfect. I will say this, right? Spoiler alert, the game's been out for a few months now, so if you didn't know this, everyone was really hyped up for Darth Vader's reveal. He actually was revealed early on in the movie of Rogue One,
Yes.
but Darth Vader, as we envisioned him, came out in Rogue One. Like, Darth Vader is supposed to be this menacing, almost devil-like figure in a Star Wars universe. And you don't really
Sucks
see
the
that.
air out of a room.
Yes, he is supposed to fill people with so much fear that Jedis have thrown down their swords and taken flight. There's a scene in this game when Darth Vader makes his entrance, and I felt that for the first time.
Really?
Where a character was so terrified, you thought he had a force grip on her, but you realized she's stuck there because of her own fear. And I was just like, that's amazing.
Oh! Awesome. That's awesome. And this is what invoked the post on the Instagram.
Yes.
Where did you get that image from?
That was actually from YouTube of someone else playing. That's how much I enjoyed it.
You did a Clippy Boy. Okay, that's fine. I was wondering where you got it from. I was wondering if you had recorded any of the gameplay and maybe we're going to throw up a montage on the channel, but clearly we're not.
No, I didn't. You don't want to see my face when I'm playing games and you're not talking to me. I'm usually this close to the screen.
Yeah, so jaw dropped, eyes wide open, just a small driblet of drool coming down. That's fine. That's fine. I do that when I'm alone playing games too.
Listen, I got to tell you a few more things, and then we'll get off of this. All right. So here's the next thing, right? I enjoyed the ending so much, like that reveal, that I had to go watch it on YouTube because it was all like when it was happening, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna fight Darth Vader. But I'm just focused on staying alive and not dying at the last part of the game, like Halo when I was a kid. Anyway, I went back and I watched it on YouTube, and then I watched the reactions of others, like of streamers playing the game, and everyone had the exact same reaction. It was like, amazing, amazing game. Can't say enough. Had a better ending than God of War.
Wow, that's saying a lot from you. God of War is your favorite game series, if I remember. Like maybe the first 5 episodes we ever did. God of War is your favorite game series.
Yep.
Does the game have enough to where you want to replay it?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't. Like, there are a couple of planets I can go back and get the chest and stuff.
Yeah, 100% it.
Yeah, but at this point, like, no, I wouldn't go back.
Have you ever played a game that when you finish, you immediately want to play it again?
Play the story through or complete side quests?
No. You played the story, and you're like, I need to start a new character and do this from zero again. I enjoyed this so much.
Yeah, so I had a bunch of games like that. And ironically enough, God of War obviously won. I was like, okay. I'm going to go back through and see anything I missed. Infamous, Second Son. I had to play it twice. That is a very
good game.
I had to play it twice right away because I beat it as the good guy. And I was like, oh, I got to know what happens when I beat it.
Yes. I did that with the original Infamous. I got it as a launch title with the PS3. And I did that with the original Infamous. It was very, very good.
That entire game line, that entire game series is amazing.
So I don't mean to one up here, but I played Skyrim 4 times through in a row.
Nice.
Because there's so many characters you could play, right?
Yeah.
You could be a ranger, you could be a mage, you could be melee, and there's like 3 or 4 different kinds of melee. And then when I got a PC, I did this on PS3, and then when I got a PC, I played it 2 more times through. And then since, I've played it probably 3 more times. I think I've played through Skyrim 7 times through the entire story. You say I don't like single player games. I love that game. I think Skyrim, if I would be willing to say, and I did this with Fallout 4 too. I played it twice through immediately. I think Skyrim, I would have to say, and I've done a lot of thinking about this recently, is maybe my favorite game of all time.
Really?
Yes.
That game has a strong following. Maybe one day, I've watched too many videos on it, and I'm like, this is really advanced stuff.
It's not though. It's very really basic.
Very intense. A lot of modding going on in that game. Very
you don't even. I played my first 5 or 6 playthroughs without mods.
Okay.
My last playthrough that I did, and I kind of roleplayed as a different kind of character, right? Because I had a mod where I could choose which zone I wanted to start in instead of starting in Helgen, right? Mm-hmm. So I started up in the north and played a northern character, right? I played it without mods. There was no reason to. The game itself, I think the graphics hold up. It's from like 2010 or something, 2012 at this point.
Graphics look great, actually.
I loved that game so much that during one of the E3s, not maybe last year or the year before, that they just showed the logo for Elder Scrolls 6, and I was standing up here like yelling in excitement. Is how excited, like how much of a reaction that game gets out of me because I love that game so much.
Dude, you know what I love about a good story game? Tell me if you can relate to this, right? You beat it.
Yep.
You put the remote or you slide back from the keyboard. You just kind of go like this. And you're like, I did it. I did this. I did like.
I only do that with games that are really hard as like an accomplishment. When I finished Skyrim for the first time, like I was like, you see the ending coming, right?
Yeah.
There's no like real twist at the end. There's no like, it's like, okay, cool. We can play the storyline. Like the I don't want to call it Valhalla, but you go up into the heavens and you fight a dragon. That is like such an amazing storyline. I was like, wait a second, I didn't save before this. Right, like there are some missions, and when you play through San Andreas, there's a bank heist mission. There's a few missions that you save before, because when you get that, you're like, oh, I want to go do the bank heist mission in San Andreas. You go back, hit that save, and you go play that mission again. I literally wish that I would have had saved before and after this mission, because I could go back and play it again. So I had to replay it, and then I did, and then I'm like, all right, well, I want to do it as an archer now. And then I played it again, and then I'm like, oh, well, I didn't use mage, and I want to go do the Mage College quest line. I didn't do that in my first 3 playthroughs. I'm gonna go play that. Like, oh, what? I didn't know that there was a Bard's College that you could. There's a quest line you could do. I want to go do that. Like, there's so many things that you could do along the way in Skyrim that it's such an amazing game. There's so much replayability, and then there's DLCs on top of that have their own storylines.
See, that's what I'm hoping with Star Wars. I'm like, is there going to be a DLC, or is it going to be like God of War, where they're like, no, that was the game. That's
How long has it been out?
What is?
I can look this up.
3 or 4 months. Because I was thinking that the other day. I'm like, will they release a DLC for it? Like,
it came out in November.
Yeah, so one should have been out by now, right? No,
we're looking at 3 months, and it was developed by Respawn. Interesting. If there is going to be DLC, you're looking at probably another 3.5 months. It sold 8 million copies.
It did really well, and EA Sports. It was by is it EA?
EA is the publisher. The developer is Respawn, the same people who make Apex and Titanfall.
So this was a desperate win they needed, but also it was a good resurgence for it. We talked about this before, for the Star Wars brand, and in regards to gaming. A lot of people thought this game was going to be another Force Unleashed, and it just stands on its own.
There is no plan for DLC.
There is no plan for DLC,
according to the April 2019 statement by Respawn.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. The last game I finished before this and Division was Spider-Man with my son, which we beat.
Oh, okay. It was in between
to death. We
3
beat
or
that
4
game
times.
To
yes.
I have not, as of this day, beat Days Gone, and I have tried to log in a few times to play it. I'm actually going to sit down and beat it pretty soon here. I got to tell you, that game sucks.
To my credit,
yeah, you warned me.
I've been around modern. I want to say modern gaming long enough that I can kind of smell those out. I warned you about that, and I warned you about Death Stranding, right?
I didn't buy Death Stranding.
I know, me neither. We're both smart people.
Nobody bought that game.
No, lots of people bought that game. there is no reason to play those. So, any last thoughts on the Final Order, Fallen Order?
Fallen Order was an amazing game. You don't even have to be a Star Wars fan to get into it. I would suggest, though, watching a recap thus far, like of the canon.
Your excitement in the Fallen Order is almost making me want to buy it. I'll definitely look for it on a sale. I don't want to pay $60 for it.
No, look for it on a sale. I didn't pay $60 for it. Look for it on a sale.
I would pay $25 or $30 for a 20-hour game for sure. So.
Well, I'm looking at subject number 3, him, and I just got to ask.
Tem. So
Okay.
Temtem has taken over the world of streaming recently. Have you heard anything about Temtem?
No, I thought you were threatening me when you used that
Do
word.
you know what Pokemon is?
I know what that game is.
So it's a single player RPG in the most simple sense of the term, right?
Right.
Temtem is a multiplayer online Pokemon with different style monsters. And it
Okay.
has taken over the streaming world recently.
Why is that? What's so great about it?
Because it's
looking at it
multiplayer
right now.
Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
Pokemon's not, in its sense, multiple. You can't. Me and you can't co-op Pokemon Red, which is very close second for my favorite game of all time.
Really?
Yes, I love the Pokemon game, and it has a special place in my heart. I buy every single one of them. Right? I
So
beat
wait,
every single one.
this is an official Pokemon game.
No.
Okay. I was looking at it. I'm like, because they're not using little red and white balls. They have cards of some sort.
Right. It is not. It is a ripoff. The real question was, how long does Temtem last before
They get sued.
before there's a DMCA, a cease and desist, and there's a lawyer at their door? Probably not long. So a while back, there was a game called Pokemon, and this was their issue. Oh my God, Uranium? Pokemon Uranium. It was a fan-made Pokemon game with a fan-made world, a fan-made storyline. Everything was fan-made, and it was set in Pokemon. It used all of the Pokemon name, the characters, the healing, right? Like everything. But it was fan-made, and it was out for like 45 minutes. And I got a copy of it. I think I still do. It was out for 45 minutes, and it was shut down. And it was great. It was really well done. But this is a game that is a direct clone of Pokemon, and there is no way around it. And it is being sold on the Steam store. It is.
Yeah, how did this happen?
How did this happen? If they don't use the Pokemon name, do they have the patent on making creatures fight each other?
No, they don't. Yu-Gi-Oh! Proved that.
Do they have the patent on capturing and containing creatures for your own personal collection?
As long as PETA doesn't have anything to say about it.
Do they have the patent on linear city-based RPGs?
No.
Then how would they take this game down?
I don't know, but it's going to happen.
I would be willing to take this. This is going to be the first Gaming with a Dad official bet.
Okay.
I would be willing that this game thrives, and in 2 years' time, we see a Pokemon multiplayer online game that we could co-op.
Okay. I'm not going to bet against that. I might say, can I offer an alternate scenario? This game is going to thrive. Is it a paid-for game? Do you pay to get this?
$35.
$35.
And I've been itching to invest, but none of my friends have invested, and I want to co-op it with someone. But I've been very itching. I really want to buy this game. So anyone out there, if you guys want to play this with me, please let me know. I'll buy
There
it.
you go.
I'll buy you a copy. We'll play together.
I'm willing to bet that if this game starts to make any real money, that's where the cease and
There's
desist will come.
12,000 positive reviews.
12,000 positive reviews.
Right, and how many? What is it? A tenth of the population will do a review. I could probably look it up on Steam charts.
Buy Temtem.
It's Temtem.
Let's see here. Buy Temtem.
It is not currently sitting in the top 10 played games on Steam, so it's
Okay.
less than 50,000 players.
I'm just looking at some of the reviews here. Finally, a good, enjoyable Pokemon clone for PC. Needs a lot of work to be perfect. Parentheses, not able to see all the quests I'm on right now is a big nope, but that is to be expected of an early access. We'll see if it's able to fulfill all expectations.
Okay.
Yeah. I would rate it a 10 out of 10. Non-Kiru said that.
There are currently 19,000 people playing it with a
Wow.
22,000 player 30-day average.
What's 19,000 times 35? Go, math head, go.
430 something thousand.
How much do you think it costs to develop the game?
I don't know. I haven't played it. It's actually 665,000. I just did the math. I don't know how much it costs to develop. It peaked at 40,000 players. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we sold 1.5 million already. Is that not real money?
That's real money.
And for it to have peaked at 40,000 players, probably 60,000 copies sold for $35 a piece. Is that not real money?
That's real money. You know what? The reviews are almost all positive, except for a few Spartacuses in here who are diehard Pokemon fans. But
right.
Temtem. So who's streaming it?
There's been a lot of people.
Give me two.
It's already. Hold on a second. It's already sold over 250,000 copies.
Unbelievable.
We're looking at a lot of money.
People are loving this game, huh?
People are liking the game. I have not heard a single negative review about it. Like there was the whole, like, so this is what Twitch does, right? Twitch goes through fads.
Right.
The Escape from Tarkov fad is still here, I think. It's sitting at number 4 on Twitch right now, which is good for Escape from Tarkov, right?
Right.
There has not been very. The common review of Tarkov, you've heard me say this before, is that it's addicting because the super highs and the really shallow, the really, really deep despair lows, right?
Right.
Temtem doesn't have this, but it seems like a lot of people have really enjoyed it. And
no one's streaming it on Mixer, dude.
No one cares about Mixer. No one cares about Mixer, Steve. There's 7,000 people watching Temtem right now. So it's not great, but I've seen Lyric play it. I've seen Summit play it. I've seen Gold Glove play it. I've seen some heavy hitters play it, right?
Right.
Which usually means that it's pretty good. You know, I don't know much about the game, and I'd be willing to bet that if I probably pinged a few people, I could get a squad together and play Temtem.
Right.
But, you know, I'm not. I want to play it, but I also don't want to get myself invested in a game that's going to get taken down. Right? That's my fear. You got to take a
chance in life sometimes.
That is my fear, is that this game gets taken down in the next month because Nintendo or Game Freak gets a hold and is like, no. Good
absolutely
luck.
Not.
Go home. Don't come back. Also, all of the money that you made, we want double.
Not gonna happen.
That's.
I'm gonna transition from Temtem. I think you should buy it. I think you should treat yourself and just get invested. It's that girl.
I just bought hockey tickets. I can't treat myself.
It's like the girl at the bar that I would tell you not to talk to, Zach, but you talk to her anyway.
I just bought myself hockey tickets, Steve. I can't treat myself anymore. I'm poor. I'm broke.
How much were the hockey tickets?
The world, almost $400.
Holy! What? How are the seats good? Like, are you on the ice?
No. On the ice tickets at MSG are like $1,100 a piece, but we're in better seats than we normally sit in.
Who's we? You going with your dad?
No, I'm going with Shane.
Oh, that's dope, man.
Yeah, me and Shane go to a few games a year. So
there you go, man. Good hockey game. You can spare $35 for Temtem, though. Come on, you can do it. Go ahead, dude.
No, I will not do it. Let's transition out. What do you want the final topic of the night to be, Steve? There's 2 left, which means one gets sucked over into the next show, and one. It's
too late in the evening to talk about why journalism sucks. That'll keep it. That will be it. That's a great topic, but if you could just give us a little taste of what you were thinking when you came up, just a little taste. You got 35 seconds.
I looked up Kotaku today to see if there were any important gaming news that we wanted to talk about, and it was all clickbait titles, and I did not like that. And I could see it. I could smell right through their bullshit. And I thought, Kotaku, this is why you're going in the garbage. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic.
Guest on the show,
Steve. Who should we have on for guests? I said we're going to wait till 10. We're approaching 20. We're approaching a half a year doing this show weekly.
Dude, there's only one person we can have first, right? Because we're saving cash for Ferguson versus Khabib.
Correct.
Gotta have the fat mantis on.
I don't know the guy. He's one of your friends. You know him. I would be willing to have on. I would just be a curator of topics. That's all it would be. It would be because it would be a discussion that I personally wouldn't know anything about, and I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about because I would have very little insight into the comic book world.
We'll find a way to fit you into fandom. But
no,
gotta have
the way that it would work is I would come up with questions to have you guys debate. It would be a good show. I agree.
Oh well, Roy's gonna lose all the time in our debates. That's just
no. This is a fun debate, not a.
I leave my house, go to his house while we're recording, come in through his door,
through his window. Yeah. So it's not that, right? Actually, I have ideas.
I mean, Roy's got his finger on the pulse of most of pop culture. He attends Comic-Con. He does great reviews on Star Wars and other content. So I think it'd be cool to have him on to kind of go over what's happened over the past 2 years in regards to these subjects. We won't get into comic books too much because that's unfair to you, but there's some great stuff happening in comics.
That's where I would want it to go.
There's some great stuff happening in comics. And he actually, if you catch a show, he's been reviewing American Horror Story show I'm not interested in anymore.
I don't know
why he follows it, but man, people love hearing him talk about it, and I just want to write in the comment section, this show sucks. You probably know a good thing about it.
Who else should we have on?
We're gonna have King Cash, and then do we have I don't know some of the. I don't want to throw out any names, and you reject these people.
I'm gonna reject them. Go ahead, throw out names.
I won't do it. I'll catch you off air, dude, because you already got your hand up. You're tired, and the venom's gonna start coming out pretty soon.
No. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna try to get some people on soon. We're not gonna guarantee us next week or the week after, even until after we hit 20. But we're gonna do our best to orchestrate a time where we can have some guests on. We're gonna have a slightly different formatted show. We're gonna do our best to maybe step our game up a little bit. Not too much. We don't want you guys to expect too much out of us, but we're gonna. We're going to get incrementally better.
I'm also going to get a haircut before the next show. That's got to happen, dude.
I'm going to say that I am, but I guarantee does not happen. I guarantee I do not get a haircut.
Is your door open right now?
It's slightly cracked, yeah.
Oh, someone just walked by your door and it freaked me out. Dude, literally, I was like, Zach, the murderer's behind you. That freaked me out.
I welcome the murderer. So yeah, we're gonna do our best to get some people on
Let's do it
and have some fun going forward.
Check us out on IG and on Twitter. I've brought back our social media presence on IG. Our Twitter account is a desolate place, just like MySpace.
My personal Twitter is a gold mine. My personal Twitter is a gold mine. I don't know what I want to do with the Gaming with a Dad Twitter at this moment. But hey, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it is a gold. I have some really good reaction gifs. I have some really funny and insightful things to say. I have some inspirational things to say sometimes. And then I also chop down American politics every once in a while.
There you go.
Thanks everyone for watching. This has been episode 16 of Talking with a Dad. Steve, anything on the outro here, or are we all set?
Bernie Sanders is beating Joe Biden slightly in the polls, and believe it or not, Bloomberg is actually number 4 without being in one debate.
And on that bombshell, good night.